Have you ever imagined that some of the greatest threats to our planet don't roar like lions or arrive with noisy machines? Often they appear silently, hidden in delicate wings, discreet roots, or seemingly harmless paws. These are invasive species, unwanted travelers who crossed oceans and borders without permission and now transform forests, rivers, and cities into scenes of imbalance. But before we begin, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now let's get started. Number 1. Cane toad, Rhinella marina, the toxic amphibian that became a global threat. With its warty skin and bulging eyes, this animal impresses not with beauty, but with danger. Native to Central and South America, it was introduced to several countries in attempts to control agricultural pests. The most famous case occurred in Australia in 1935, when 100 cane toads were released in sugarcane plantations. The result was disastrous. Each female can lay up to 30,000 eggs per clutch, and its skin secretes a powerful buffotoxin capable of killing snakes, lizards, small mammals, and even pets. In the US, it has colonized parts of Florida, threatening fragile ecosystems such as swamps and subtropical forests. The most concerning aspect is that in many areas, it has no natural predators. Species that attempt to attack it are poisoned. The result: populations grow unchecked, suffocating local species and creating a domino effect across the food chain. Cane toads perfectly illustrate how good intentions can open the door to ecological catastrophes. As we conclude this list, it becomes clear that nature is both fascinating and unpredictable. Invasive species teach us that the natural world works like a delicate web, where every strand has its purpose. When we cut or pull one strand, the entire fabric can unravel. What began as small gestures, releasing birds for romance, importing turtles as pets, or introducing toads to protect crops, has snowballed into events capable of transforming entire ecosystems. But behind these stories of destruction lies an invitation to reflection. The planet does not belong to us. We are just a part of it. Recognizing this encourages us to act with more respect. Instead of exploiting without thought, we can choose to protect, observe, and learn from each species, whether native or not. We must also understand that every action, no matter how small, has an impact. Releasing a domestic animal into the wild can become a global threat. Likewise, supporting conservation projects, sharing information, or adopting sustainable practices can generate positive changes that echo into the future. At the Best of Nature, we believe in the power of education and awareness. Our goal is not only to share animal and plant curiosities, but also to inspire action. When you are fascinated by a story or amazed by a fact, it opens the door for better, more conscious choices connected to life itself. Our final message is clear: admire nature's beauty, but also recognize its fragility. Respect ecosystem balance, because it holds the key to our survival. Together as a community, we can transform knowledge into action and admiration into care. This is the Best of Nature's mission, and we count on you to be part of it. From the tiny fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, turning the ground into a battlefield, to the massive Burmese python, Python bivitatis, capable of swallowing entire prey in the Everglades, we see that nature doesn't need size to make an impact. Some animals and plants were introduced with good intentions, like house sparrows, domestic birds, or cane toads, Rhinella marina, yet became ecological nightmares. Others, like the Nutria, Myocastor coipus, arose from commercial interests and multiplied uncontrollably. These stories show us that every human choice has consequences. Number 2. American mink, Neovisan visan, ecosystem assassins. The American mink, a close relative of otters, is a small mustelid native to North America that has become a pest in many parts of the world. Farmed extensively in Europe and Asia for the fur industry, many escaped or were released, forming wild populations that are agile, stealthy, and carnivorous. Minks hunt waterfowl, rodents, fish, and even crustaceans. Their impact has been devastating in the UK, causing up to a 94% decline in the European water vole, Arvicola amphibius. This small rodent, a symbol of British rivers, became critically endangered because it could not withstand the aggressive invader. The American mink also competes directly with the European mink, Mustela lutriola, much more peaceful and fragile. The result was a dramatic decline in a native species in favor of the invader, a clear demonstration of how uncontrolled economic exploitation, in this case for fur, can generate long-term ecological catastrophes. Number 3. Burmese python, Python bivitatus. The nightmare of the Everglades, the imposing Burmese python, one of the largest snakes on the planet, now secretly rules the swamps of Florida. Native to Southeast Asia, it can exceed 5 meters in length and swallow large prey, including deer, birds, and even American alligators, Alligator mississippiensis. Introduced through the exotic pet trade, many escaped captivity or were abandoned by unprepared owners. After hurricanes devastated breeding facilities, the species spread across the Everglades, one of the most fragile ecosystems in the US. A female can lay up to 100 eggs per year, and without natural predators, the population has exploded. The impact is devastating. Populations of lynxes, raccoons, and hares have nearly disappeared in areas dominated by the python. Even experienced hunters struggle to capture this silent predator. Today, it is considered one of North America's greatest conservation challenges, a frightening example of how a magnificent animal can become a colossal threat. Number 4. European starling common starlings, the poetry that became a plague. In 1890, enthusiast Eugene Schieffelin released 60 European starlings, Sturnus vulgaris, in Central Park, New York, to honor Shakespeare, who mentioned the bird in his plays. What seemed a romantic gesture turned out to be an ecological tragedy. Today, there are over 200 million individuals across North America. Extremely intelligent and adaptable, starlings form huge flocks known as murmurations, creating spectacular visual displays in the sky. But behind this beauty lies chaos. They displace native species, destroy nests, break eggs, and kill chicks. Their droppings not only corrode monuments and buildings, but also carry the fungus that causes histoplasmosis, a dangerous respiratory disease. For farmers, the problem is even worse. Flocks of thousands can devour grain crops in just hours, causing millions in losses. From a symbol of literary art, common starlings have become one of the most hated and persistent invasive species on the continent. Number 5. Red-eared slider, Trichemi scripta elegans, the gift turned pest. In the 1980s and 1990s, red-eared sliders became a worldwide pet craze. Small, charming, and cute, they seemed ideal pets. But as they grew, living over 30 years, many were abandoned in rivers, lakes, and parks. The result was catastrophic. Today, the species is present on several continents, including the US, where it competes directly with native turtles. They displace other species from feeding and breeding areas, such as the western painted turtle, and dominate habitats easily. Beyond environmental impact, they pose public health risks, transmitting salmonella and even antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Children and adults have been infected after direct contact with contaminated individuals. For all these reasons, Trichemi scripta elegans is listed among the 100 most dangerous invasive species worldwide. What began as an innocent aquarium gift became a global threat, showing that even well-intentioned gestures can have devastating consequences. Number 6. Asian carp, Hypophthalmicthus mollitrix and Hypophthalmicthus nobilis, the jumping monsters from East Asia. Asian carp were introduced to the US in the 1970s to clean fish ponds by eating algae and waste, but a flood released them into the Mississippi River, and their invasion has since become nearly unstoppable. The silver carp, Hypophthalmicthus mollitrix, is the most alarming species. It can exceed 1 deniotatours in length and weigh up to 45 kilos. Its diet of phytoplankton puts it in direct competition with native species like bass and largemouth bass. In some lakes, these carp constitute up to 30% of the total biomass. The most impressive behavior is their jump. When threatened, these carp can leap up to 3 meters, colliding with boats and injuring fishermen. Imagine dozens of giant fish flying toward you. Scientists fear their arrival in the Great Lakes, one of the world's largest freshwater reservoirs. If that happens, the impact could be like an uncontrollable fire underwater, threatening ecosystems and entire economies. Number 7. European rabbit, Oryctolagus cuniculus, the sweet disguise of chaos. With long ears, attentive eyes, and a cute appearance, the European rabbit seems a symbol of innocence, but uncontrolled introduction showed that even the friendliest animals can become nature's enemies. In 1859, only 24 rabbits were brought from Europe to North America for hunters' entertainment. What seemed minor became a disaster. Thanks to their impressive reproductive capacity, a single female can produce up to 40 offspring per year. Within a century, century, populations exceeded 10 billion. With insufficient natural predators, they devastated pastures, destroyed native plants, and accelerated erosion, particularly in arid, fragile southwestern US regions. Farmers suffered enormous losses as rabbits could destroy entire crops in just a few nights. Their burrows also destabilized soil, causing collapses and damaging rural infrastructure. Small, cute, and seemingly harmless, Oryctolagus cuniculus proved that when out of balance, even the most charming creature can trigger an ecological disaster of continental proportions. Number 8. Asian longhorned beetle, Anoplophora glabripennis, the invisible axe of the forests. With a shiny black body, white speckles, and antennae sometimes longer than its body, this beetle seems harmless, yet hides as a relentless enemy of forests. Native to China and Korea, it arrived in the US hidden in wooden packaging used in international trade. The danger lies in its life cycle. Females lay eggs in sturdy tree trunks like maples, elms, and poplars. The larvae hatch and burrow deep tunnels blocking sap flow. The tree dies slowly from the inside out with no chance of recovery. The only control is to cut down and burn infested trees. In the US and Canada alone, over 180,000 trees have been removed. Losses exceed $1 billion, and the threat persists because the insect is difficult to detect until it's too late. Silent and lethal, the Anoplophora glabripennis earned the nickname Invisible Axe for felling forests unnoticed. Number 9. Lionfish, Pterois volitans and Pterois miles, considered the most beautiful and lethal predator of the Caribbean. With red, white, and brown stripes resembling an artist's brushstrokes, the lionfish glides through reefs like a living jewel. Its long, radiant fins resemble floating plumes in an underwater spectacle, but this beauty hides a dark side. Native to the Indo-Pacific, lionfish were introduced to the Atlantic in the 1980s, likely by aquarists, releasing them into the sea. Without natural predators, they found a perfect paradise in the Caribbean and Florida to multiply. A single female can release up to 2 million eggs per year, guaranteeing an almost uncontrollable population boom. Its voracious diet includes small fish, shrimp, and crustaceans. In just 5 weeks, a single individual can eliminate up to 90% of a reef's juvenile population. Additionally, its dorsal spines contain venom that causes unbearable pain in humans, along with nausea and breathing difficulties. NGOs and governments encourage lionfish fishing and consumption, as its meat is tasty and nutritious. Yet the challenge is enormous. It continues to reign over reefs as a fascinating and dangerous invader, capable of turning tropical paradises into zones of imbalance. Number 10. Gypsy moth, Lymantria dispar, the northern devourer. Small and discreet, the gypsy moth harbors immense destructive power. Introduced to the US in 1869 by a French entomologist aiming to start a new silk industry, it quickly escaped control. The larvae are leaf-eating machines, consuming over 300 plant species, including oaks, poplars, maples, and even fruit trees. Entire forests can be stripped bare in just a few days, transforming into desolate landscapes. Weakened trees become easy targets for diseases and other pests. Today, Lymantria dispar is present in more than 20 US states and Canada. Governments spend over $3 billion annually trying to contain its spread, yet success remains elusive. It exemplifies how even the most fragile organisms can become relentless predators in environments without natural barriers. Number 11. Snakehead fish, Channa argus, the predator that walks on land. Native to Asia, the snakehead fish was first recorded in Maryland in 2002. Since then, it has rapidly spread across multiple US states. Its long body and snake-like head live up to its reputation as an invasive monster. This fish can breathe atmospheric air thanks to an organ called the labyrinth, allowing it to survive up to 4 days out of water and crawl across moist land in search of new lakes. A terrifying ability for a voracious predator feeding on fish, amphibians, insects, and even small mammals. Without natural predators in the US, Channa argus destabilizes aquatic ecosystems, competing with native species and reducing their populations. In many states, keeping captured individuals alive is illegal, with immediate culling required, a clear example of how poorly controlled introductions can become ecological catastrophes. Number 12. Fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, small red soldiers that spread terror. Originally from South America, fire ants arrived in the United States around the 1930s, hidden in cargo shipments. Today they spread like a living stain across the southeastern US. Although only a few millimeters long, they are formidable warriors. They live in colonies of hundreds of thousands and attack in fully coordinated waves. Their venom, rich in piperidine alkaloids, causes intense pain, swelling, and in severe cases even fatal anaphylactic reactions. And it's not just humans at risk. Fire ants attack sea turtle nests, amphibians, and birds, threatening already vulnerable species. They also invade electrical installations, causing short circuits and millions in damages. Billions of dollars are spent annually on pesticides and control programs, yet their expansion continues. Their strength lies in unity. When one attacks, all attack together, turning any patch of land into a miniature battlefield. Number 13. With a deep croak echoing through the swamps, the American bullfrog, Lithobates catesbeanus, asserts its presence wherever it arrives. Native to the eastern United States, it has been introduced to several countries, including Brazil, as a food source. Its surprising adaptability has made it one of the most harmful invasive species in the world. Robust, it can grow over 20 cm and eat almost anything: insects, fish, small reptiles, birds, and even other frogs. Its varied diet and voracity make it a dominant predator that competes directly with native amphibians. Each female can lay up to 20,000 eggs at a time, ensuring explosive reproduction. Beyond being a predator, it is also a vector for the fungus Batrachochytrium dendrobatitis, responsible for mass amphibian die-offs worldwide. Today, the Lithobates catesbeanus is considered one of the main threats to amphibian biodiversity, especially in Brazil. Beautiful and imposing, but deadly, the bullfrog symbolizes how seemingly simple human choices can have irreversible consequences for nature. Number 14. The Cuda seahorse, Hippocampus cuda, is one of the most enchanting creatures of the Indo-Pacific seas. Characteristics and natural habitat. The Cuda seahorse is one of the most fascinating species in the Indo-Pacific, including coastal areas of Indonesia, the Philippines, and Papua New Guinea. Despite its small size, usually between 10 and 15 centimeters, it stands out for its vibrant coloration and prehensile tail, adapted to grasp algae and corals. Unique characteristics. Physical appearance. Elongated body covered with bony rings providing natural protection. Horse-shaped head with independently moving eyes that allow it to observe its surroundings for predators or prey simultaneously. Coloration ranging from brown to bright orange, sometimes with spots or stripes, allowing camouflage among corals and underwater vegetation. Natural diet feeds on small crustaceans, shrimp larvae, and plankton. Its slow movement and tubular mouth allow it to suck up tiny prey, requiring patience and precision. Reproductive behavior. Males have a brood pouch on the ventral side where they receive eggs from the female. After a few weeks, fully formed young are born, already independent of paternal care. Natural habitat prefers mangroves, seagrass meadows, and shallow reefs, areas rich in vegetation for grasping and camouflage. Small groups spread across the environment, avoiding areas with major predators or direct competition with other species. Impacts of international trade and introduction into new ecosystems. Despite its fragile and delicate appearance, the Cuda seahorse has become vulnerable due to human exploitation. International aquarium trade and use in traditional medicine have transformed its natural presence into an environmental challenge. Trade and collection for aquariums. Juvenile seahorses are manually captured in reefs and mangroves. Many do not survive transportation or die due to inadequate transport and storage conditions. The demand for home aquariums and exhibits increases pressure on already limited populations. Competition in non-native habitats. When introduced outside its natural range, Cudas compete with local species for food and space. Small crustaceans and larvae, the main food source for many native species, are overconsumed. This leads to imbalances in local food chains, affecting fish, seabirds, and benthic organisms. Ecological impacts on mangroves and reefs. Mangroves and reefs are highly sensitive ecosystems. The presence of Cuda can alter natural interactions, from reproduction of other species to microalgae composition. Although discrete, its cumulative effect is significant. Each individual introduced outside its habitat contributes to lasting ecological changes. The silent threat. Unlike visible predators, seahorses gradually affect the ecosystem. Small changes in prey availability can trigger a chain reaction, impacting local biodiversity. This turns a species symbolizing delicacy and beauty into an unexpected agent of ecological imbalance. Conservation and the future of the Cuda seahorse. In response to trade impacts and introduction into new ecosystems, researchers and environmentalists have sought strategies to protect and conserve the Cuda seahorse. Despite its delicacy, it plays a vital role in the biodiversity of Indo-Pacific reefs and mangroves. Captive breeding programs, several aquariums, and research centers have developed controlled breeding programs. These programs aim to reduce collection from natural environments and create populations that can be reintroduced into safe habitats. Advanced techniques monitor health, feeding, and behavior of juveniles, ensuring survival until maturity. Legislation and international regulation. The Cuda is protected by conventions such as CITES, which regulates international trade of endangered species. Exporting countries require specific permits and catch limits, while importing countries must strictly monitor the entry of individuals for aquariums or traditional medicine. Despite legislation, enforcement remains challenging, especially in remote regions. Education and awareness. Environmental organizations promote campaigns about the risks of illegal collection and impacts of introducing species outside their habitat. Every individual removed or displaced can alter entire ecosystems, encouraging collectors to seek sustainable alternatives like artificial replicas or captive breeding. Protection of natural habitats. Preserving mangroves and reefs is essential. Restoration projects and marine protected areas help maintain ecological balance, ensuring that the Cuda and other species continue fulfilling their natural role. Continuous scientific monitoring allows population assessment and early threat detection. The future of the Cuda. By combining captive breeding, strict regulation, and environmental protection, there is hope that the Cuda seahorse can continue to exist without becoming invasive or disappearing from its natural habitat. It remains a symbol of the fragility and resilience of marine life, reminding us that the beauty of the ocean requires responsible human care to survive. Behavior and social structures of the Cuda seahorse. The Cuda seahorse is not only visually enchanting, but also has fascinating habits and behaviors, revealing surprising complexity for such a small animal. Studying its daily routines provides valuable insights into how it interacts with the environment and other living beings. Feeding patterns. Cuda feeds mainly on small crustaceans, larvae, and plankton, using its long tubular snout as a suction tool. Despite its fragility, its hunting technique is efficient. It approaches prey slowly and sucks it in milliseconds. A varied diet is essential not only for survival, but also for maintaining local ecosystem balance by controlling invertebrate populations. Social structures and communication. Although they do not form large schools like fish, Cuda seahorses display subtle social behaviors, including pair interactions and synchronized movements during mating. During reproduction, the male uniquely incubates the eggs in his abdominal pouch, ensuring healthy offspring. This paternal care is rare in the animal kingdom, especially among fish, demonstrating high social complexity and protective instinct. Camouflage and environmental adaptation. To survive among predators, Cuda relies on natural camouflage, blending with algae, corals, and submerged leaves. It can gradually change its color and skin patterns, becoming almost invisible in dense vegetation areas. This skill is used not only defensively, but also during social interactions and courtship, highlighting or hiding as needed. Daily routines and territorial behavior. Cuda tends to remain in defined areas, almost marking invisible territories. Usually peaceful, it can exhibit space defense behaviors when other seahorses enter the same feeding or breeding area. A slow and deliberate swarmer, it relies on camouflage and controlled movements to avoid predators rather than fleeing quickly. Relationship with the ecosystem. Each individual has a specific role. Its feeding regulates small crustacean populations, while reproduction ensures species continuity. Loss of Cuda individuals, whether from illegal trade or habitat destruction, can trigger cascading effects in coral reefs and mangroves, highlighting its ecological importance. Curiosities and unique behaviors of the Cuda seahorse. Impressive camouflage. The Cuda can blend among algae, corals, and underwater vegetation. Its coloration ranges from brown, green, to orange, allowing it to hide from natural predators like larger fish and carnivorous crustaceans. When threatened, it can remain completely still, becoming almost invisible even to attentive observers. Mating dance. One of the Cuda seahorse's greatest attractions is its mating ritual, a true underwater ballet. Male and female perform synchronized movements, twisting and intertwining their tails while subtly changing color to communicate. This ritual strengthens the pair bond and ensures safe, precise egg transfer to the male's brood pouch. Paternal innovation. Unlike many species, the male Cuda is responsible for pregnancy and egg incubation. He carries fertilized eggs in his ventral pouch for several weeks, providing oxygen and protection from predators. This strategy ensures higher offspring survival, making Cuda a fascinating example of parental care in the animal kingdom. Delicate movement and feeding. The Cuda's prehensile tail allows it to cling to algae and corals, avoiding being swept away by currents. It feeds on small crustaceans and plankton, sucking food through its tubular snout. Due to its tiny mouth, it consumes large quantities of small organisms to obtain sufficient energy, an essential adaptation for survival in competitive ecosystems. Longevity and slow reproduction. Compared to other ornamental fish, Cuda has a relatively long life cycle, living up to 5 years in its natural environment. Its slow and selective reproduction makes the species vulnerable to environmental changes and overharvesting. Each healthy pair is essential for maintaining natural populations. Cultural symbolism. In some Indo-Pacific regions, seahorses are symbols of patience, delicacy, and ocean protection. Their presence in local ecosystems indicates environmental health and biodiversity, emphasizing their ecological and cultural value. Conservation message. Observing Cuda reminds us that even the most fragile creatures play crucial roles in marine life balance. Every unique behavior, from camouflage to paternal care, demonstrates the complexity and intelligence of nature. Protecting Cuda means preserving rare biological wonders and the continuity of entire ecosystems, showing that conservation goes beyond protecting a single species. It is about safeguarding interdependent networks of life. Number 15. The soft purr of the domestic cat, Felis catus, is irresistible to millions of households worldwide. However, when released into the wild, this charismatic animal becomes one of the deadliest predators on the planet. Studies show that in the United States alone, domestic and feral cats kill more than 2.4 billion birds and 12 billion small mammals each year. They hunt for survival, but also out of instinct, often killing without eating. Rare species, songbirds, and small reptiles are among their main victims. The problem is even greater on islands, where ecosystems are fragile. There, Felis catus has already caused the extinction of dozens of species. Beyond the ecological impact, it transmits diseases such as toxoplasmosis, which affects both animals and humans. Charismatic at home, but lethal in the wild. The cat is a perfect example of how love and negligence can go hand in hand. Responsible management, such as neutering and controlling access, is essential to protect wildlife and maintain this delicate balance. Delicate with its arched body and swimming in a vertical position. Number 16. The coipu, Myocastor coipus, also known as the Nutria, is a silent but devastating invader. Native to South America, it was brought to the United States in the early 20th century for the fur industry. However, many escaped and now spread across more than 15 states, including Louisiana, Texas, and California. They can reach up to 60 centimeters in length and weigh nearly 9 kilos. They dig riverbanks and canals, causing erosion, breaking dikes, and damaging irrigation systems. Their diet, based on aquatic vegetation, destroys habitats for birds, fish, and amphibians, leaving entire ecosystems vulnerable. The economic impact is huge, with millions of dollars in annual losses. Additionally, they compete with native species for food and space, turning wetlands into ecological deserts. The Myocastor coipus proves that even a seemingly simple rodent can destabilize an entire ecosystem. Small at first glance, but with an impact that echoes for decades, the Nutria has become one of the most dangerous invaders in North America. Number 17. The Nile tilapia, Oreochromis niloticus, is known as the aquatic reproduction machine. Originating from Africa, it is considered one of the most farmed fish worldwide. Its tasty meat and rapid growth have made it popular in over 90 countries. But behind this economic success hides an invader that threatens entire ecosystems. The tilapia is incredibly resilient, surviving in freshwater, brackish, and even polluted waters. It reproduces at an accelerated rate, with a single female able to produce hundreds of offspring several times a year. This cycle allows it to quickly dominate dams, rivers, and lakes, displacing native species and reducing biodiversity. In addition to competing for food and space, Oreochromis niloticus consumes the eggs and larvae of other fish, compromising the natural renewal of ecosystems. In areas that once had diverse species, today there are almost exclusively tilapia schools. Although economically beneficial, the excess of this species causes imbalances, increases water turbidity, accelerates the growth of harmful algae, and threatens artisanal fishermen who depend on native species, a food solution that unfortunately turned into an environmental nightmare. Number 18. With its spiraled shell that can exceed 20 centimeters. The African giant snail, Achatina fulica, seems harmless, almost like a collectible object. However, this mollusk native to East Africa is one of the most dangerous invasive species in the world. Introduced to various countries as a pet and even as a delicacy, it quickly became an uncontrollable pest. The snail can feed on more than 500 plant species, devouring gardens, crops, and forests. Its insatiable appetite leaves a trail of agricultural destruction and threatens the livelihoods of rural communities. Additionally, it poses serious health risks, hosting the parasite Angiostrongylus cantonensis, which causes eosinophilic meningitis. In Brazil, it has spread across several states, appearing in urban backyards and rural areas. Resistant to pesticides and adaptable to different climates, these snails return with force each rainy season. Small in speed but enormous in impact, they remind us that danger doesn't always come with claws or sharp teeth. Number 19. In Texas, their populations multiply rapidly, but control is almost impossible. A female can produce up to 12 piglets per litter several times a year. Intelligent and adaptable, wild boars have become one of the greatest wildlife management challenges in the United States. Small, seemingly harmless, the house sparrow, Passer domesticus, was introduced in New York in 1851, when 100 individuals were released in Brooklyn to control insects. What seemed like a good idea turned into a disaster. Today, the house sparrow is found in almost every American city. It builds nests on rooftops, poles, and trees, and feeds on seeds, insects, and even urban food scraps. Adaptable and resilient, it survives in any environment. The problem is its territorial behavior. The house sparrow displaces native species from nests, destroys eggs, and even kills the chicks of fragile birds like the eastern bluebird, Sialia sialis. In rural areas, it causes economic losses by devouring crops and seedlings. Since it is fully established, eradicating it is impossible. It has become a symbol of how good intentions can pave the way for an ecological disaster. Behind the innocent image of a small bird hides a persistent and destructive invader. Number 20. The Eurasian wild boar, scientifically known as Sus scrofa, originates from Europe, Asia, and North Africa, and was brought to North America by the Spanish in the 16th century. But the real disaster began in the 20th century when more aggressive breeds were introduced for sport hunting. Today, it is estimated that there are over 3 million wild boars in the United States. Endowed with great physical strength, these animals turn the soil like living tractors, destroying crops, wetlands, and native habitats. Their behavior increases erosion and alters waterways, affecting entire ecosystems. The threat isn't just environmental. Wild boars transmit serious diseases such as brucellosis and swine fever, harming livestock and even humans. Known for their aggressiveness, they also attack domestic animals and people. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed our content, subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Check out other interesting videos appearing on your screen right now, and we'll see you in the next video.